The EU Migration Minister has published a report on visa liberalisation, welcoming further measures to be taken by Albania tackling abusive migration privileges. The OSCE ambassador and Italian ambassador expressed that corruption is a threatening phenomenon for Balkan societies, saying Albania should act as a role model. The City Hall donated toys to children in need, with Mayor Veliaj calling on citizens to create an atmosphere of surprises and presents for the children at our social centres. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday the 20th of December 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. The Civil Society Commission near the People's Advocate has sent the names of 4 candidates for the vacant seat left in the High Prosecutor's Office to the Assembly. The 4 candidates who attended a hearing in the offices of the People's Advocate are Alfred Bala, Andi Muratai, Entela Hoja and Mimosa Chinami. The chairman of the Civil Society Commission, Andi Dobrusha, calls on politics to do a better job of reading the laws because, according to him, the establishment of the High Council of the Prosecutor's Office is not at all being held hostage by the institution he leads. The establishment of the HCPO has not been hindered by us, said Andi Dobrusha. The Civil Society Commission considered 4 candidates to have met the criteria of the 5 who applied to the call made by the Secretary of the Assembly on November 16 of this year. After the declaration of names to the Assembly, Andi Dobrusha described the allegations made against the Commission he is responsible for, saying, "Accusations that we are responsible for obstructing HCPO are a storm in the glass." The establishment of the High Council of the Prosecutor's Office is expected to open the way for implementation of judicial reform, the vetting process, the establishment of the National Investigation Bureau, and the special anti-corruption structure. The HCPO is envisioned by the Reform in Justice as one of the key priorities of this process, and the delay in its creation is the root cause of the issues surrounding the end of the mandate of the Chief Prosecutor and the ensuing next steps. The EU Commissioner for Migration, Home Affairs and Citizenship, Dimitris Avramopoulos, has published the report on visa liberalisation, which does specifically refer to Albania. In his speech, he said the EU is committed to maintaining the visa-free travel for Albanians, but stressed that both the authorities and the citizens bear responsibility for ensuring the security of this privilege. Avramopoulos welcomed the measures taken by Albania so far to strengthen measures for dealing with irregular migration, but stressed that these efforts should continue to ensure uninterrupted progress. "We are fully committed to safeguarding visa-free travel for citizens of the Western Balkans and Eastern Partnership countries, but this comes with responsibilities for both citizens and the relevant authorities. I welcome the efforts by the Albanian authorities to strengthen measures at border points and address irregular migration. We have so far noticed some improvements with those member states most affected. However, efforts now need to be further sustained to ensure implementation continues unabated. In particular, there is a need for the implementation of information campaigns on obligations and conditions of visa-free travel. Improved border controls, as well as stepping up investigations and prosecution of organised crime groups, will also hold the country in a more favourable light when being assessed, said Dimitris Avramopoulos. Albania has made steps forward in the fight against corruption, but the road is far from travelled. OSCE Ambassador Bernd Borchardt stressed that the country needs more transparency over actions conducted by the prosecution. Accusing the prosecution of ignoring electoral crimes, Mr. Borchardt explained the need to create a database of investigations so that such glaring omissions could be easily highlighted by the public. Albania has made some important steps in the fight against corruption. However, a database listing investigations, criminal prosecutions and sentences is still needed. Cases of buying and selling the votes have been sent to the prosecutor, but where are the sentences? To tackle such electoral problems, the international community recommended setting up legal framework for financing political parties and the establishment of an effective and responsible system. So, where are we at this point with these items, said Bernd Borchardt. Invited to a conference in support of anti-corruption measures in Albania, the Italian ambassador said that corruption is a real threat to Balkan societies and it is up to Albania to deliver positive results in the framework of EU integration. Corruption is not only Albania's problem, it is an international phenomenon and, especially in this region, is a threat to all societies. It is in the hands of Albania to continue to rely on the progress made so far and to consolidate the system by offering convincing and strong results, especially in the context of EU membership. One of the required standards that must be achieved is the fight against corruption, said Alberto Cutillo. Ambassador Cutillo informed that in January, the chairman of the Italian Anti-Corruption Authority will visit Albania. Together with his Macedonian counterpart, Talat Jafari, the Assembly Speaker Gramos Rucci condemned the violence exercised in Parliament by the opposition during their protest. Rucci said that despite his lengthy political career, he witnessed 3 actions for the first time in Parliament last Monday. The usurping of the Parliament, the throwing of flares and the taking away of voting cards. All these acts are completely unprecedented, said Gramos Rucci. When asked about the majority's votes not totalling 71 in the voting process, Rucci explained that 2 of the proponents, as well as the newly appointed Chief Prosecutor herself, Arta Marcu, were unable to vote because their voting cards had been kidnapped by the opposition. Manja and Felai proposed Arta Marcu but failed to vote, said Gramos Rucci. Rucci also announced that the Socialist MPs who were forced to vote using the cards abandoned by their Democratic counterparts had provided written notice to the Assembly of their intention to do so due to the impossibility to vote as a result of the opposition MPs' extraordinary actions. Even the chairman of the Assembly of Macedonia, Talat Jafari, condemned the violence in Parliament, saying that violence is not an appropriate instrument of politics in a democracy. Violence is never a solution, said Talat Jafari. Speaking of the relationship between the 2 countries, Rucci requested the approval of the Albanian language law in Macedonia as soon as possible, while Jafari said that these meetings should become a continuous practice. The 2 Assembly speakers also confirmed the high level of friendship between Albania and Macedonia. Smiles, songs and presents. This is the atmosphere that has been created at the Social Centre at Zogui Para Boulevard, where the Mayor of Tirana, together with the students, distributed gifts for the little ones. Velia invited businesses and citizens to find some time in these days to serve people and help those who need our support. In the municipality of Tirana, we are trying to make history, not hysteria. It means that no one is helping by giving money to children at the traffic lights. On the contrary, this serves only to help those who exploit the children, never the children themselves. Children who have come off the streets are sheltered and treated in our social centre, where they are completing their first semester of school, learning poems, songs, how to read and write, and how to say please and thank you. I believe they have regained their lives. For anyone who really wants to help children struggling on the streets, do what our social workers do. Bring them to our social centres where they can be fed and clothed and where they can have an educator who teaches them to become citizens who can provide a valuable contribution to our society in the future, said Erion Veliai. The Mayor appealed to all citizens of Tirana that in these days of celebrations to show solidarity and to be near people in need, donating something or even serving for them. A holiday time is the moment to reflect a little and to find the desire and opportunity to make a contribution. I believe that every citizen in Tirana who is part of the average family has the opportunity to give something back of their own. This may be a Christmas or New Year meal, a food package, clothes, and so on. I would like that Tirana, as it is the #1 city that it is, to be the #1 also in solidarity and charity on this period of holidays, said Erion Veliai. The municipality of Tirana's project to remove children from the street has been incredibly successful, according to Veliai. He says that today they feel integrated, all the while receiving the necessary education to be upstanding citizens for tomorrow. Catholic believers are awaiting Christmas with the moment of prayer, participation in the ceremony of the blood of Christ, and the positive feelings that all these moments give right around the corner. Part of the Catholic Church, the Diocese of Tirana-Durrës, will focus its messages this Christmas towards solidarity and peace. Archbishop George Frendo will address the prayers during the Blood of Christ ceremony to all families that hold grudges within them or associate with the blood feud phenomenon. Peace to all. A brother does not harm his brother, said Archbishop George Frendo. Christmas is a moment to be close to one another, especially those in need or suffering. It is also a religious obligation for the wealthy to help the poor. The rich to donate to the poor, said Archbishop George Frendo. Jesus Christ, says George Frendo, was born among poverty. That is why the Archbishop and the Catholic Church renounced the facades and official receptions to be dedicated to the poor. Jesus was poor, holidays need solidarity, said Archbishop Frendo. After the Blood of the Christ ceremony, Christian and Orthodox believers will continue their celebrations with their relatives. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.